Without warning, the skies above Earth turned black. Massive alien warships appeared, blocking sunlight, covering cities in shadows. People screamed and ran. Sirens echoed through every corner of the world. The skies burned with fire from above. But Earth did not beg. There was no surrender. There was only silence from the world's leaders. The aliens didn't understand it at first. They expected fear, panic, maybe even a message of peace. But Earth gave none. And that silence made them nervous. The invaders were part of the Thalrex Dominion, a powerful empire that had conquered hundreds of planets. They believed Earth was just another primitive world, another easy victory. Their scouts had watched Earth for years. They saw humans fighting each other, wasting resources, and believing in strange myths. To the Thalrex, humans were disorganized, emotional, and weak. So they came in full force, 30 warships, heavy ground units, and weapons strong enough to break continents. They laughed when they arrived. They had no idea what waited below. As the first wave of ships entered Earth's orbit, global communication systems went dark. Satellites stopped working. Every military force on Earth went silent. It looked like surrender. But under the surface of the planet, something had begun. Deep underground in hidden bunkers, ancient systems powered up. Some of them had been sleeping for centuries. Forgotten weapons, stored in the black vaults of secret nations, activated one by one. Strange machines, built long ago during Earth's most dangerous wars, began humming with energy. In a desert base in Nevada, a vault labeled Protocol Omega opened for the first time in 70 years. In a Russian mountain facility, a red key was turned by a trembling general. In the forests of China, something old and massive began moving beneath the trees. These were not just weapons, these were last resort systems, built during a time when humanity believed the world could end in fire. They were designed not to defend, but to destroy. The aliens noticed changes too late. Their signals were being blocked. Their drones were crashing. Strange electromagnetic fields surrounded the planet. Earth's surface seemed calm, but space was becoming dangerous. One of their scout ships vanished without a trace. Another one exploded after a pulse wave hit it from the surface. The Thalrex commanders were confused. This was not what they expected. Earth was not fighting back with normal weapons. Something else was happening. In a secret base beneath Antarctica, the old machine blinked to life. It spoke in a voice that had not been heard in centuries. Code Black, threat level, extinction, activating global defense grid. Around the world, human technicians looked at their screens in shock. Systems they didn't know existed were now running. Instructions appeared in strange old codes. Earth had a plan, and that plan had just begun. The Thalrex tried to begin their ground invasion. They sent thousands of soldiers into Earth's atmosphere. Dropships rained down like fire. But the moment they landed, they met resistance. Not from regular armies, but from black-armored soldiers who moved like shadows. These humans didn't speak. They didn't show their faces. They struck with perfect timing and deadly force. Entire squads of aliens vanished within minutes. It was as if Earth had trained them for this very day. In orbit, the Thalrex flagship prepared its main cannon. They wanted to destroy a major city to scare humans into surrender. But just before they fired, a strange signal hit their systems. The ship's controls froze. Lights flickered. Then, silence. The ship's crew looked out the window, and what they saw chilled their blood. From Earth, a beam of blue energy shot into space. Not a laser, not a missile. It was pure energy, and it tore through one of the warships like paper. No explosion, just nothing left. The flagship retreated for the first time. On the bridge, the Thalrex commander growled, "This is not a primitive world. This is a trap." His officers looked scared. "Then what do we do, sir?" one asked. The commander stared at the planet below, eyes wide. "We underestimated them. We need to call the council. Earth is not what we thought." And back on Earth, in a deep chamber no one remembered building, a voice spoke from the shadows. "Phase 1 complete. Let them come. Let them see what Earth really is." The being standing there wasn't just a man. He wore a black suit of armor older than any modern tech. His eyes glowed with a cold blue light. He had been waiting for the world to need him again. The Earth hadn't begged, because it didn't have to. It had prepared. The galaxy was confused. The Thalrex Dominion had never faced such a disaster before. 1/3 of their fleet had vanished. The rest had pulled back, floating in Earth's orbit, too afraid to approach again. Messages rushed through the stars. Other alien empires listened closely. The Thalrex had attacked Earth with full confidence, but now they were silent. Something had gone very wrong. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives of the strongest civilizations gathered in a dark chamber filled with glowing stars and holograms. The Thalrex commander stood before them, his armor scorched, his face filled with shame. "We believed Earth was weak," he said, "but they had power we did not expect. Technology, strategy, and something else." The council leader, a being with 6 eyes and skin like metal, asked, "What do you mean, something else?" The Thalrex commander hesitated. Then he spoke slowly. "A warrior, a human, but not like the others. He led the attacks against our ground forces. He moved faster than we could track. He destroyed our weapons with his bare hands." Laughter filled the room. "One human did this?" a council member asked. "He is not just human," the commander replied. "We scanned him. His DNA is enhanced. His armor is old but more advanced than anything we've seen. He knew we were coming. He was ready." The room went quiet. The Thalrex commander continued. He said only one thing before he vanished. He said, "Earth remembers." Back on Earth, the warrior stood alone on a cliff, looking at the night sky. The stars above twinkled, hiding ships full of enemies. But he didn't look worried. His armor was cracked but still glowing. His name was never spoken, but those who worked in secret bunkers called him Sentinel Zero. He had been trained in silence, raised for war, and forgotten when peace came. Now he had returned. In underground rooms across the world, leaders and generals gathered around glowing maps. The Global Defense Protocol was now fully active. They listened to reports from cities, from soldiers, from satellites. They heard stories of a man appearing in battlefields, turning the tide alone. Some didn't believe it. Others had seen him with their own eyes. "He's not just a weapon," one general said. "He's a message, a warning." Above Earth, alien ships tried to regroup. They launched probes to scan the surface, but most of them vanished. Some were pulled down by strange magnetic fields. Others were captured by stealth drones and never returned. One ship picked up a signal from deep inside Earth. It was a sound repeating over and over, a heartbeat, fast, steady, getting louder. In a control room on the Thalrex flagship, a technician's hands shook as the signal echoed. "What is this?" he whispered. Then the screen blinked, and a human face appeared. "Sentinel Zero." "I know you're watching," he said. His voice was calm, cold. "You thought Earth would kneel. You thought we were afraid. But you woke up something older than fear." The screen went black. Panic spread among the Thalrex. More ships backed away. A few left orbit completely. But the commanders who stayed behind tried to prepare. They gathered their strongest weapons and planned a second strike. "We will land with full force," one barked. "No mistakes this time. We take the planet in one move." But they didn't know Earth was listening. In the Pacific Ocean, something moved deep underwater. A forgotten facility powered on. Giant machines, shaped like sleeping giants, opened their eyes. In the forests of South America, black satellites rose from the ground, disguised as trees, now aiming at the sky. And in the Arctic, beneath layers of ice, a hangar opened, and something massive stepped out, glowing with blue fire. The world was no longer waiting. It was preparing for counterattack. Sentinel Zero walked into a chamber deep underground. Screens lit up around him, showing the sky above, the enemies waiting, the plans being made. A voice in his ear asked, "Are you ready?" He looked up. "I've been ready since the day they left the first scar on our sky." He reached for a weapon older than any living man, a sword glowing with energy, sealed for a century. It unlocked with a sound like thunder. This was no longer about defense. It was time to strike back. Far above Earth, the Thalrex fleet floated in silence. Their commanders argued behind closed doors. Half wanted to retreat, the other half wanted revenge. They had never lost before. To them, Earth was supposed to be an easy target. Now, their pride was shattered, and fear had crept into their ranks like a cold wind. The enemy was not just a planet, it was a trap. Meanwhile, on Earth, Sentinel-0 stood at the heart of the command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around him, screens showed alien ship patterns, satellite feeds, and hidden defense systems activating worldwide. Teams of silent operators worked around the clock. No one questioned Sentinel-0's orders. They trusted him, not because of his rank, but because they had seen what he could do. He walked toward a glowing chamber where a second warrior waited. She wore similar armor, sleek, dark, and built from unknown metals. Her name was Shade, and she had trained in secret all her life just like him. "They're gathering more ships," she said, eyes locked on a hologram. "They're preparing for a full invasion," Sentinel-0 replied. "They think they can overwhelm us. We'll let them try." At that moment, Earth sent its first strike. From under the ocean, 5 dark objects launched into space. They didn't follow normal paths. They weaved through the stars like hunters. The Thalrex barely saw them coming. When they did, it was too late. 3 alien cruisers exploded in silence. The 4th was torn apart from inside as a black drone drilled through its hull and detonated. The 5th escaped, but it no longer believed Earth was weak. Panic broke out across the Thalrex fleet. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, chaos grew. A live feed from the Thalrex ships showed the destruction. The council members whispered in shock. Earth struck first? No. Earth struck back. One council member, an old warrior from a reptilian world, stood and growled, "We have made a mistake. That planet is not peaceful. It is hiding monsters." Back on Earth, a signal was intercepted. It was a message between Thalrex commanders. "We should destroy the planet. Use the core bomb. End it before they unleash more." The message was decoded instantly. Sentinel-0's face darkened. "So, they want to burn us." He turned to Shade. "Tell the command. Begin operation." "Eclipse." Shade nodded. "It's time." He looked at her, his voice steady. "It's time." All across Earth, lights turned red in secret bases. Hidden railguns rose from mountaintops. Stealth satellites revealed themselves in orbit. And deep underground, the vaults opened, releasing weapons the world had sworn never to use. The skies lit up with energy pulses. Thalrex ships were hit from multiple directions. Some exploded, some were disabled and fell into the ocean. Others fled, only to be chased by black projectiles that changed direction mid-flight. The people of Earth watched from cities and villages, staring at the burning lights in the sky. They didn't know who Sentinel-0 was, or why the war had come. But they understood one thing. Earth was fighting back, and it was winning. In space, the Thalrex flagship was burning. Their leader, High Commander Veleth, screamed in rage. "This is impossible. They are just humans." But even he didn't believe that anymore. Another officer shouted, "One of their warriors has boarded our ship." "What? How?" Alarms rang. Lights failed. And then, from the shadows of the command bridge, a figure stepped forward. Sentinel-0. His armor smoked from re-entry. In his hand, he held the energy blade that had cut through 2 ships already. The Thalrex aimed their weapons. He moved faster. Then they could react. Blades sliced through the air. Sparks flew. The entire bridge was in chaos. One by one, the Thalrex fell. In seconds, only Veleth remained. He crawled backward, terrified. Sentinel-0 stood over him, his voice like thunder. "You came to break us. Now you will carry the message back." Veleth gasped. "What message?" He leaned close. "Earth bows to no empire. Then he vanished into the smoke, leaving Velith shaking and broken. Back in the shadows of space, Earth's satellites picked up fleeing Thalrex ships. They were heading home, carrying the truth. Earth had not been defeated. Earth had become the storm. The stars above Earth were no longer quiet. Debris from broken alien ships floated in orbit, drifting like dead leaves in space. Across the planet, people looked up and saw the proof. Earth had fought back and survived. But deep underground, those in command knew this was only the beginning. Sentinel. Zero stood in a silent chamber, watching the world from a screen. He had sent a message to the galaxy, but messages could be misunderstood. He knew how empires worked. They would not give up so easily. Earth had wounded them. Now they would come with vengeance. Shade walked in, her armor dark with battle marks. "More ships are coming," she said. "Not just Thalrex, others." Sentinel Zero turned. "Let them come. We're not done yet." The Galactic Council had received the Thalrex commander's report. Fear spread fast. Many couldn't believe what they heard. Earth, a planet with no known army in the stars, had taken down one of the strongest fleets in the galaxy. They questioned their maps, their spies, their history, and then another video appeared. It showed a city in ruins, not on Earth, but on a Thalrex colony. The attacker was never seen, only shadows, and a trail of destruction. The message at the end read, "This is what you started." Some empires began to worry. "If Earth has warriors like that," one leader said, "they may already be among us." Panic grew. On Earth, Sentinel Zero met with the Global Council in a secure bunker. Holograms of world leaders lit the room. Some were calm, some were scared. One asked, "Are we safe now?" Sentinel Zero answered, "No. We hit back, but that only woke more enemies." "Then what do we do?" He looked at the map of Earth. "We prepare for war, a greater one." At the same time, alien agents on Earth were trying to find Sentinel Zero. They moved through cities in disguise, watching, recording, reporting. But the moment they came too close, they disappeared. Some were found days later, scared, broken, and whispering one word over and over. Ghost. They were talking about Shade. She moved in silence, taking down spies before they knew they were seen. Sentinel Zero had trained her himself, and now she was a weapon no one could catch. The aliens thought humans were weak because they smiled, told stories, and sang songs. But Earth's greatest weapons were never the loud ones. Back in orbit, a second fleet arrived. This time, they came with shields up and weapons ready. The Zoran Combine, known for wiping out planets, now set their sights on Earth. They didn't care about what happened to the Thalrex. They wanted to make an example. Their leader, a creature with red skin and horns like blades, sent a new message. "Earth, you defy the order of the stars. Your time ends now." There was no reply from Earth. Instead, a countdown began. The Zoran fleet laughed. "What is this? A warning?" At 0, the sky above Earth split open. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't a bomb. It was a gate. One Earth had kept secret for centuries. From it, 12 black ships rose, shaped like spears and made from metals no scanner could read. These were Earth's real defenders, kept in the shadows. Each one was piloted by the best. Each one had only one mission: protect humanity at any cost. The Zoran fleet opened fire, but Earth's black ships didn't dodge. They went straight through the enemy line. Explosions lit up the sky like fireworks. The Zorans screamed in confusion. Their ships were falling, their systems breaking. The black ships moved like ghosts, silent, deadly, unstoppable. Sentinel Zero watched from below. He knew these were only the first waves. The galaxy would not stop until Earth was either destroyed or feared. And fear, he believed, was safer. In space, one last Zoran ship tried to escape. But before it could jump, a black figure landed on its hull. Sentinel Zero had joined the battle. He cut through the hull, entered the ship, and left a trail of silence behind him. The enemy commander tried to fight. He failed. Sentinel Zero stood over him, breathing slowly, eyes glowing behind his helmet. "You had your chance," he said. "Now, run." He left the commander alive, but marked. A small device was left in his chest armor. When he returned to his people, it would send a signal Earth could follow. The game had changed. Earth was no longer defending. Earth was hunting. A strange silence filled the galaxy. News of Earth's second victory had spread fast. The Galactic Empire's strongest fleet, destroyed. Lord Varnak was missing. Some said he was dead. Others whispered that Earth had taken him prisoner. No one knew for sure. The Galactic Council gathered again, this time in fear. Leaders of many alien races stared at the hollow screen showing Earth. They used to laugh at humans. Now they studied them like a dangerous new species. "They are waking up," said one voice. "They were never asleep," another replied. "We just couldn't see it. Earth had not sent messages, no demands, no threats, only silence and destruction." In space, strange things were happening. Empire ships went missing near the asteroid belt. Scout probes vanished when they entered Earth's deep orbit. Something, or someone, was watching. Back on Earth, Sentinel-0 stood in a control room below the surface. Around him were glowing screens, lines of data, and commanders from every nation. They were no longer separate armies. They were one now, Earth's defense network. He looked at a glowing point on the map. "They're gathering again," he said. Shade, his shadow-like partner, leaned forward. "Do we wait?" "No," he said. "It's our turn." Project Ghost was activated. 10 deep space ships, built in complete silence, left Earth's orbit under full cloak. No one in the galaxy knew they existed, not even most Earth governments. These ships didn't fly like normal vessels. They moved in patterns copied from Earth's most dangerous animals, fast, quiet, and deadly. Their mission: find the Empire's command center, destroy it. Meanwhile, deep in space, a lone Empire cargo ship passed near Saturn's rings. Suddenly, alarms rang. Something had landed on the hull. Not something, someone. The alien crew ran to battle stations, but it was already too late. One by one, their systems shut down. The lights went dark. Then, through the smoke, a human figure stepped inside the ship, Sentinel-0 himself. He had come alone. No army, no fleet, just a message. He looked the alien captain in the eye and said, "Tell them, we are coming." Then he vanished. No trace left behind. The cargo ship was allowed to escape, and it too raced back to the Empire's heart in panic. What it carried wasn't goods, but fear. At the same time, Earth's ghost fleet reached a dark region of space known only to the Empire. There, floating among black stars, was the Empire's war station, Nexar Prime. It had never been attacked, until now. The ghost fleet moved without warning. Earth ships launched advanced silent missiles, wrapped in sensor-blocking material. No one saw them coming. The first explosion tore open Nexar Prime's outer wall. Alarms blared across the station. Soldiers scrambled. But Earth's team was already inside. They wore black armor, moved like shadows. They didn't speak. They didn't miss. Room by room, they cleared the station. They planted devices that melted steel and turned air into fire. Earth wasn't just fighting back anymore. It was sending a message to the galaxy. You are not untouchable. Inside Nexar Prime's control room, the High Commander of the Empire watched the feeds go black. Then he saw something that made his blood run cold. A symbol, glowing red on every screen. A circle. Inside it, a single line crossing through. Earth's new mark. As Nexar Prime burned, Earth's ghost fleet disappeared just as silently as it had come. No one could find them. No one could stop them. Back on Earth, people still lived their lives. Children played, cities rebuilt. But above them, silent ships moved through the sky. Earth had changed forever. Sentinel-0 stood once again in his tower, overlooking a planet that had become the most feared name in the galaxy. Shade asked him, "Do you think they understand now?" He nodded. "They thought Earth was weak because we waited. But now, the galaxy will learn what happens when we stop waiting." And somewhere, In deep space, the stars trembled. Earth was not just a planet anymore. It was a warning. Nexar Prime was gone. The Empire's war station, once their most protected stronghold, was now nothing but debris floating in dark space. The shock spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Systems that once praised the Empire now whispered in fear. The question on everyone's mind was simple: what is Earth? In the Empire's capital, the Empress herself, ruler of 1,000 systems, sat in her crystal chamber, watching the last video feed from Nexar Prime. Smoke, fire, a symbol no alien had seen before, a circle crossed by a single sharp line, the mark of Earth, her advisor said quietly. She stood in silence, then whispered, "They must be ended." Back on Earth, Sentinel-0 watched the same moment from a screen buried deep in Command Core 1. Around him, the Earth Defense Network buzzed with energy. Leaders were calling. News was spreading. The galaxy was turning upside down. But Sentinel didn't smile. He knew something was coming, bigger than before. Shade entered the room without sound. "They're sending her," she said. He turned. "The Empress?" Shade nodded. "Her fleet is already forming. They're calling it the Burning Crown." Far beyond Earth, a terrifying armada was rising. Unlike the past fleets, the Burning Crown was ancient. These were not normal ships. They were living vessels, grown in dark space, bound by old blood magic, controlled by only one person, the Empress herself. She did not invade. She erased. Her plan was simple, not just to conquer Earth, but to make it disappear. As her ships moved closer, strange things began to happen across the galaxy. Planets that supported Earth vanished. Satellites stopped working. One of Earth's outer colonies went completely silent. Earth knew the final battle was coming. So it made a decision. Project Eclipse. Hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean, a giant structure began to rise. No one had ever seen it before. Not even Earth's own military knew its full power. It had been placed there long ago, built by the first alliance of Earth's hidden nations. It wasn't just a ship, it was a gate, a black humming ring of metal that reached high into the sky. Energy crackled as ancient codes were unlocked. Inside the gate, space bent. Time shifted. Earth was building a door, not to run away, but to go through. Sentinel stood at the control panel. "We're done waiting," he said. Across the world, Earth's strongest warriors and brightest minds gathered. Titan, the massive machine, stood at full height. The Leviathans surfaced again. The Ghost Fleet returned. One final fleet, one final mission. 2. Take the fight to the Empress herself. But Earth didn't go in loud. It entered like a shadow. Through the gate, Earth's best forces slipped into dark space. The Empress's fleet saw nothing, until it was too late. One by one, her ships began to fail. One lost gravity, one exploded from inside, another turned its weapons on its own. Confusion spread, then fear, and then, on every screen, across every ship, appeared one man's face. Sentinel-0. He said only 4 words. "Earth is not yours." Then the gate behind him opened wide, and Earth's full fury came through. It was not an invasion, it was judgment. Back on Earth, billions watched from safe zones. They didn't cheer, they didn't dance, they waited, because this battle wasn't for celebration. It was for survival. And in space, under the burning stars of the galaxy, the 2 greatest forces the universe had ever seen were about to collide. No one knew what would happen next, but one thing was now clear. Earth would never be ignored again. The sky above the Empire's capital turned red. It wasn't the sun. It was Earth's fleet. The ghost ships moved without sound. The Leviathans glided through the stars like silent giants. Titan dropped into the middle of the enemy formation, and the shockwave alone tore 3 warships apart. The Empress stood inside her living throne, wrapped in golden armor, her mind linked to every vessel in the burning crown. Her face was calm, but her hands trembled. For the first time in her long rule, she felt fear. Earth didn't just attack, it took control. Sentinel-0 moved like lightning through the enemy flagship corridors, his armor scorched, his blade humming with energy. He wasn't just a man anymore, he was the will of Earth. Behind him, Shade moved in silence, disabling shields, planting charges, and guiding Earth soldiers with perfect precision. They weren't an army, they were a storm, the Empire's greatest. Weapon, the Starcore cannon, powered up near the center of the system, a weapon built to destroy entire planets. It aimed at Earth. But before it could fire, something strange happened. It shut down, not from damage, from code. Deep inside its systems, a virus had activated. Not alien, not Empire, human. A message flashed across the main screen of the Empire's most powerful weapon. You should have listened. Then the Starcore exploded in a ball of fire. Across the Empire's command network, panic spread. Ships turned to flee, but the Ghost Fleet blocked every exit. One by one, enemy vessels were either disabled or captured. Some were pulled into black holes created by Earth's experimental weapons. And then, finally, Earth reached the Empress herself. Her throne room cracked open as Titan punched through the station wall. The Empress rose, her golden staff glowing with the energy of a dying star. She tried to strike, but Sentinel-0 stood before her. No words, no negotiation. This was the end. The battle between the Empress and the Sentinel lasted only a minute, but it felt like an eternity. Light clashed with shadow. Power shook the entire station. In the end, her staff broke in two. Her throne collapsed, and she fell. Not in anger, in silence. Back on Earth, people stood together, watching from screens in cities, shelters and bunkers. Then came the signal. A single tone. Victory. But Earth did not celebrate. It remembered the cities that burned, the lives that were lost, the silence before the storm. And then, Earth made a final choice. The captured Empire leaders were not executed. They were shown Earth's world, its beauty, its strength, its people. Because Earth didn't just want revenge. It wanted respect. And now, it had it. Weeks passed. The Galactic Council, now leaderless, asked Earth to join. Sentinel-0 replied with a short message. We don't follow, we lead. Earth had changed forever, not just a blue world at the edge of a spiral galaxy. Now, it was a legend, a symbol, a name whispered across the stars. Do not provoke Earth, because when they attacked Earth without fear, they awakened something greater than war. They awakened humanity's wrath, and the galaxy would never forget it.